Mr. Johnson. I'm going to talk to you about the middle colonies. First, I want to show you what the middle colonies look like. The middle colonies was New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware. Now, the reason why they were so profitable is number one, it was known as the breadbasket of the colonies, producing all your wheat, oats, and things like that. And it was also it could trade. It traded from France, or excuse me, Europe, all the way down to Spanish Florida, which is there. Now, what you have to think about is this: the English were not the only ones trying to establish colonies in North America. It was the French, it was the Dutch, and then you had Spanish in Florida. So what happened in that situation is a lot of these individuals really wanted to establish trade. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna scroll down right quick. New Amsterdam was settled in 1623 by the Dutch West India Company. Now, if you remember anything I said about the Dutch West India Company in other classes or in my other class sessions, the tariff that was put on tea and other imported goods, well, the Dutch they had tea as well, and they actually were trying to sell that kind of stuff to the colonies, the English colonists too. But it was forts that were built along the trading post for the simple fact that it was in high demand. There was a lot of warring going on in New Amsterdam. You had the fur trade was very profitable. They sold fur New England and all the way out across Europe. And New Amsterdam is also sparsely populated. And the reason why it's sparsely populated is because you needed wooded areas for the animals so they can get the fur trade. And you actually had some Native Americans that actually went and caught these animals and participated in the fur trade at this point. Now, other things that you have to think about, oops, excuse me. Other things you have to think about is this: New Amsterdam becomes very profitable because of the fur trade, because they solve conflicts with the Indians, and actually the Indians were actually fighting against each other because they were trying to fight for the right to sell this fur to the colonists, to the Europeans at this time, and they bought a little place called Manhattan Island. All right, now let me go here right quick. The founder or the governor of New Amsterdam was a guy named Peter Stuyvesant. He was pretty cool. He was a strict individual, and actually the Dutch got pretty tired of dealing with him, so they pretty much left after the English decided that they wanted to settle in that area as well. Like I said, the middle colonies overall were very profitable because you had, like I said, New England and all the way down to the Spanish Florida and part of Europe. So they were pretty much getting money like that. Now, uh, you had individuals that wanted to become profitable as well. Because, like I said, in other parts of the colonies, you had different things, tobacco, all that kind of stuff. But in this situation, you had a guy named King George, excuse me, King George. He actually had a friend that wanted to settle in that area as well. Well, what he wanted to do, he told that friend that, look, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll give you this land, and his name was actually Duke of York. So what he done was gave him the the right to change New Amsterdam to New York, and that's where you get New York from England because he was the Duke of York. So now you have New Amsterdam combined with York, and they called it New York, and the rest is history. Now, here's the thing people don't understand. You also had other colonies like New Jersey, and the reason why people like New Jersey is because it was pretty much it was good real estate for a cheap price. And then you also talked about a guy named William Penn in Pennsylvania, and the guy in Pennsylvania named William Penn. He pretty much settled Pennsylvania, and the reason why he settled Pennsylvania was because it was religious tolerance, and they actually did not, look down upon anyone in the colonies, such as Native Americans, blacks. They treated everybody equally. So Delaware is another area that people didn't think about, and Delaware was pretty simple. Delaware used to be a part of Pennsylvania, broke away. Okay, so uh, now here's what you got to think about too. With your governors, when these governors come over, when these people come over and they become governors of colonies, they pretty much had this power. And some people did, you know, they they didn't have any status, most of them, in England. So when they come over to the new areas, it's like they got a little bit of clout. So what they did, like for example, the guy talked about Peter Stuyvesant. Peter Stuyvesant, he didn't want to give New Amsterdam to the, as New York. He didn't want to give it over to the English because he had worked so hard to get himself in a position to lay stake in that area. So that was some of the things that people need to realize too, that they didn't want to give up their power that easy because land was a sign of wealth. And again, you know, it's pretty simple with the middle colonies that they were pretty much the midway point, and they were actually the gateway. So for the South to trade with New England, they had to go through the middle colonies as well, and for New England to get down the South and even Spanish Florida. So they were pretty much middle colonies was like the gateway and the breadbasket to the colonies, and that was their benefit. So anyway, but like I said, I'll have some questions up for you. I hope that you found this information useful. And like I said, it's pretty quick. It's an overview. But if I know if you look in our text, the American Experience, North Carolina American Experience book, it has a lot on New Amsterdam and the Middle Colonies as well. So this is Mr. Johnson, and I will talk to you later. Oh, before I go, I would like to thank Mr. Snug again for some of the content that was in this PowerPoint presentation. Mr. Snug, thank you. And he was an eighth grade social studies as well, so he's a good resource. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll talk to you later.